never burn out. Let me start with something that might sound crazy. Burnout isn't just about working too much. It's about working in the wrong way. Think about it. Some people grind 80-hour weeks and somehow look like they just stepped out of a spa, fresh, calm, full of energy. Others clock in 30 hours, and they're already exhausted, miserable, and Googling symptoms of chronic fatigue at 1 a.m. What's the difference? Psychology, the way your mind interprets and manages the load. And today, I'm going to break down the exact psychology of people who never burn out. Because if you understand it, you can rewire your brain to handle more, stress less, and stay energized in a world that's constantly trying to drain you. Now, before we get too deep, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I had this friend, we'll call him Mark. Mark was the busiest guy I knew. He was running a business, studying for his MBA, hitting the gym like it was his religion, and still making time for his family. But here's the wild thing. He never looked stressed. He'd show up with a smile, tell jokes, and somehow radiate calm. Meanwhile, I had half his workload, and I felt like I was being run over by a truck every week. One day I asked him straight up, "Dude, how are you not burned out?" He laughed and said, "Because I don't think of it as burning fuel. I think of it as generating it." That line hit me like a brick. And that's when I realized the people who never burn out don't avoid stress. They transform it. They use it as energy instead of letting it consume them. So let's break this down into the psychological principles, the mental operating systems, of people who just don't seem to run out of steam. Principle 1. They redefine stress. Most people treat stress like poison, something to avoid at all costs. But psychology research shows stress isn't inherently bad. It's our relationship with it that matters. There's even a concept called stress mindset. If you believe stress is damaging, it destroys you. If you believe stress is enhancing, it sharpens you. Stanford researcher Alia Crum found that people who thought stress could help them perform better, stayed healthier, and bounced back faster than those who thought stress was harmful. Same stress, different story. People who never burn out don't run from stress. They frame it as a workout for their brain. Stress becomes fuel, not fire. That's why they can handle more without crumbling. Imagine you're at the gym. The first time you bench press, you feel crushed, but if you keep training, your muscles grow. Stress works the same way. It's mental reps. The difference between burnout and growth is perspective. The people who thrive don't ask, "How do I avoid stress?" They ask, "How do I use this stress to grow stronger?" Principle 2. They don't chase balance. They chase rhythm. You hear gurus talk about work-life balance like it's some magic formula. But balance is static. It's boring. Life is never perfectly balanced, and trying to force it often makes you more stressed. The people who never burn out don't look for balance. They look for rhythm. They know when to sprint, and they know when to recover. They treat life like music, loud and intense in some moments, soft and calm in others. That's how they avoid collapse. Mark once told me, "I don't rest because I'm burned out. I rest so I can go harder tomorrow." That's rhythm. Think about athletes. None of them live in perfect balance. They have seasons of intense training and seasons of recovery. Life works the same way. When you embrace rhythm instead of balance, you stop beating yourself up for not being perfectly even all the time. You give yourself permission to go hard when it matters and to rest guilt-free when it's time to recharge. That's the secret rhythm that keeps people unstoppable. Principle 3. They align work with identity. Burnout happens fast when your work feels disconnected from who you are. If your job feels like pretending to be someone else every day, your energy drains like a leaky faucet. But when your work feels aligned with your identity, when it's an extension of what you value, you generate energy instead of losing it. Psychologists call this self-concordance, when your goals align with your core values. It's not just about working hard, it's about working in harmony with yourself. People who never burn out constantly ask, "Does this matter to me? Does this reflect who I am?" If the answer is no, they either change the work or change their approach to it. That alignment is everything, because it turns effort into fuel. For example, two people might both be teachers. One sees it as a paycheck, the other sees it as shaping the future. Same workload, different burnout levels. The second one goes home tired but fulfilled. The first one goes home tired and empty. Alignment changes everything. Principle 4. They play long games. Burnout often comes from sprinting toward quick results. People who never burn out think in decades, not days. They're not obsessed with instant wins. They're obsessed with staying in the game. It's like marathon runners versus sprinters. Sprinters collapse after 200 meters. Marathoners pace themselves to finish. This is a psychological anchor. Because if you believe success is a marathon, you stop panicking about today's struggle. You see it as part of the bigger arc. Suddenly, that stressful week isn't the end of the world. It's just a small hill on a long road. The mindset of, I'm building for decades, removes the panic of, I need this right now. It's calm disguised as patience. Look at Warren Buffett. He didn't become a billionaire by rushing. He compounded small wins over decades. That's why he's still sharp in his 90s. Because he never burned out chasing fast results. He played long games, and long games protect your energy. Principle 5. They know how to recover like athletes. Athletes don't train 24/7. They train hard, then recover harder. People who never burn out adopt the same psychology. They treat rest as part of the job. Sleep isn't a luxury. It's fuel. Hobbies aren't distractions. They're recovery tools. Time with friends isn't wasted. It's recharging the social battery. They engineer recovery into their lives so they never crash. I'll tell you what changed me. I used to brag about surviving on 4 hours of sleep. I thought it made me look tough. Then one day, after a week of sleepless grinding, I blanked out during a meeting. I literally forgot mid-sentence what I was talking about. My brain just shut down. That's when I realized, you don't rise to your level of ambition, you fall to your level of recovery. People who thrive long-term know this truth. Rest is strategy. And when you rest smart, you perform sharp. Principle 6. They don't try to do everything alone. One of the fastest ways to burn out is isolation, carrying every burden by yourself. People who don't burn out, they build networks. They share the load. They delegate. They ask for help. And here's the psychological trick. They don't see asking for help as weakness. They see it as efficiency. This doesn't just apply to work. Emotionally, too. They talk about what they're going through. They don't bottle it up until it explodes. They treat support systems like oxygen tanks. You need them when the climb gets steep. Think about it. No mountain climber tries to summit Everest solo without support. Why would you try to climb life's mountains alone? People who never burn out don't isolate themselves. They insulate themselves with support, connected to a bigger purpose. Here's the ultimate burnout cure: purpose. People who never burn out don't just work for money or status. They're plugged into something bigger. Psychologists call it intrinsic motivation. It's the fire that doesn't die out. Purpose makes hard work meaningful. Without it, even easy work feels exhausting. Think of nurses during crises. The hours are brutal, the conditions harsh, but the sense of purpose keeps them going. Purpose is like an endless fuel supply. If you find it, burnout becomes rare. Purpose is why some people can push through insane challenges and still feel energized. It's the invisible power source. Now, let me hit you with some humor here. You know who burns out the fastest? The people who treat every little thing like it's the end of the world. My Wi-Fi is slow, my life is over. Relax, Karen. The router just needs a reboot. People who don't burn out keep perspective. They don't catastrophize. They zoom out and remind themselves, 90% of this won't matter in 5 years. That ability to zoom out is psychological armor. So if you're watching this and you've felt burned out lately, let me tell you something. You don't need to quit everything and move to Bali. You don't need to buy another planner or read another productivity book. You need to rewire your psychology. Redefine stress. Stop chasing balance. Chase rhythm. Align your work with your identity. Play long games. Recover like an athlete. Lean on others. Stay plugged into purpose. And if you're serious about this, do me a favor. Drop a comment right now and tell me the one principle you're going to apply starting today. Not tomorrow, today. Because awareness without action is just procrastination dressed in a suit. Remember this. Energy isn't about how much you have. It's about how you generate it. The psychology of people who never burn out isn't about doing less. It's about thinking differently. Once you reprogram your mind, you'll realize You can work harder, live fuller, and never collapse under the weight of it all.